Okay, let's get started. So, you've never stopped to question any of it, not once. And why would you? Nobody told you there was anything to question. Go to school, learn the system, build a career, start a family, chase a dream. That's life. That's what everyone around you called it, so that's what you called it too. But even as a young child, I looked around at the people already living that path, the career, the family, the dream. If this is the destination, why does nobody look happy to be here? And yet, I still followed parts of it anyway, because the belief was already in me before I had any say in it. And here's what most people don't realize. Beliefs don't just come from society. They don't just come from what generation after generation was taught to do. They come from everywhere. They come from the environment you grew up in, the household, the neighborhood, the school, the church. They come from the relationships closest to you, your parents, your siblings, your friends, the way they treated you, the way they spoke to you, the way they showed up for you, or didn't. Every single one of those experiences left a deposit, and those deposits became beliefs. Not dramatic ones necessarily, not always from big, obvious trauma. Sometimes it was something as quiet as a parent who never showed excitement for what you loved, who never showed up for the things that mattered to you. I did things for attention, school plays, instruments, things I genuinely loved. But if I'm honest, I also did them hoping someone would finally look up and say, I see you. That matters. You matter. It didn't work. And that little girl standing there waiting concluded something. Not out loud, not consciously, just quietly, underneath everything. What I want doesn't matter. That's a belief, and it went straight into the subconscious without her even knowing. Then there was religion. My extended family was deeply religious, and the message, spoken or unspoken, was that you were only acceptable if you behaved a certain way, only forgiven if you were good enough, only safe if you stayed inside the lines. Anything outside of that was bad, dangerous, something to be judged. So I stopped going fully after what I actually wanted, not because I made a conscious decision, because the fear of judgment was already living inside me before I was old enough to choose. Two beliefs, planted early, running quietly. What I want doesn't matter, and if I go after it anyway, I'll be judged for it. You can see how those two things together would keep someone very, very small. And here's what makes it so hard to see. These beliefs don't announce themselves. They don't show up as thoughts you examine and question. They just become the water you swim in, the air you breathe, the invisible filter through which you see everything, yourself, other people, what's possible, what's allowed. They drop into the subconscious and start running quietly in the background. And suddenly, you're inside a life that was built on beliefs you never actually chose. And you call it life, because that's what everyone around you calls it too. But here's what happens when you start to ask questions. You begin to see layers, and then more layers, each one revealing something that's been sitting underneath everything else, shaping your reality, your relationships, your choices, without you even ever knowing it was there. That's where this journey begins. Think about the last time you made a big decision, a relationship or a job, a choice about where to live or how to spend your time. How much of that decision came from what you actually wanted? And how much came from what you believed you were supposed to want or what you believed you were allowed to want? Sit with that, because the moment you start questioning the belief, everything begins to shift. It took me a long time to let go of everything I'd been carrying. The beliefs that were handed to me, the ones I never chose, once I started forming new ones for myself, ones that actually belonged to me, everything changed. The feelings changed, the way I saw myself changed, the way I moved through the world changed. And here's what I found: purpose, love, success, security, without any of the things the belief said I needed to have. That's when I understood. The belief was never the truth. It was just the only story I had ever been given. And you get to question that story. That's all I'm asking you to do today. Not change everything overnight, not throw out everything you've been taught. Just ask, did I choose this or was it chosen for me? Sit with that, because the moment you start questioning the belief, everything begins to shift. Nobody told me I didn't choose my beliefs. Now I'm telling you. And hey, stay with me on this journey, because what I found on the other side, I couldn't have imagined it from where I was standing. But I found it, and you can too. It's so worth it, every bit of it. You've been listening to Nobody Told Me. If you made it to the end, I see you. Like, subscribe, and I'll be back with more.